mean, boys. Yeah. 17:30. I'm like, hey, what's up, hello? Since you're pretty as soon as you came in the door. I just wanna chill, got a sack for us to roll. Married to the money, introduced her to my stove. Showed her how to whip and now she remixing for low. She my track queen, let her hit the bando. We be counting up, watch how far them bands go. We just set a goal, talking matching Lambos. At 56 a gram, 500 grams though. Man, I swear I love her, how she work the tempo. Hit the strip club, we be letting fans go. Everybody hating, we just call them fans though. In love with the money, I ain't never letting go. And like it hard with my baby. I just love the more, I'm getting flawed with my baby. Yeah.
Hello and welcome into TSYWLT Reloaded, Ep.1. Kind of forgot the reloaded in the title, but we'll get that in there as soon as the episode ends. And I'm your host, Noah Taborda, alongside Carl Mogline, and we're back. And for everybody out there who's never listened to national sports, you won't know that we're back, because we've never done a TSYWLT show on Infinity Sports Network, but we did, and it was a pretty great show. It included things such as Omaha, curling breakdowns.
Yep, that was exciting.
What else did we have on there? We had a lot of crazy stuff on there, some pretty great shows. Overall, it was a pretty great show, and we're back now. We're going to talk a little bit of sports, a little bit of other stuff. By the way, in case you were wondering where we got our title from, it's from The Matrix, because Carl gave me some of the best life advice ever. If you're trying to name something, name it after a Matrix movie. So I have decided to name my child Revolutions.
Alright, also, I would like to mention, because Noah didn't, it's that show you wanted to listen to. That's TSYWLT. You kind of forgot to add that. We're just so used to calling it TSYWLT by now. It was the greatest acronym that's ever been created in mankind history, and, we got to just ran with it.
Do you know that AC apparently doesn't stand for air conditioning?
Like AC? Yeah, it does.
It stands for alternating current.
No, that's a different AC.
Apparently not. That's what somebody told me.
There's multiple ACs.
I'm just saying what it apparently,
There's multiple ACs.
I'm aware.
I'm going to look up air conditioning and see if it's also known as AC. Air conditioning, often referred to as AC. Or aircon. Like, who calls it aircon?
Aircon, bro. Do you want to get in my house? I got some aircon in my house. Oh my god. Alright. In case you didn't figure that out, that's Carl. He's in Oregon. I'm in Chicago. And, wow, I you know what? I'm pretty excited to be back. So, let's get started. What do you want to talk about, Carl? We got a couple things we could talk about. We could talk about the NHL. We could talk about the NBA. We could talk about corrupt referees, which would be a great topic. What do you want to do?
Okay. We can talk about basic... Oh, wow. We can talk about, any sports league, can't we?
We could.
You know what? The BPL season just ended. And since I know that everybody watches English soccer, that seems like a good place to start.
Alright. So we'll talk about English soccer, then we'll talk about referees, because I guess that's a good transition point. Okay,
Sure.
So British Premier League just wrapped up, or English Premier League, whatever you want to call it, Barclays Premier League. It kind of... I haven't found somebody who calls it one thing yet. I've found a lot of different variations. Just wrapped up. Chelsea were named champions. It was a pretty straightforward year, to be honest. They kind of easily took it since the beginning. Had control. Second place, Manchester City. Third place, Arsenal, which is Carl's favorite team. And fourth place, Manchester United, which is my favorite team. Those are the teams that will be headed...
And United. It's just such a catchy song.
I know. And those four teams will be headed to the Champions League. In 5th and 6th, Tottenham and Liverpool will be headed to Europa League. Unfortunate for Southampton, who put on quite the display this year, fell just short.
No, but if Arsenal beats Aston Villa Saturday in the FA Cup, the spot will go to Southampton.
True.
Yep. So, it's Aston Villa, who was really bad this year, versus Southampton for the final spot.
Well, it's interesting because
I never rooted for Arsenal so hard.
We've had a lot of similar situations. I mean, Hull City was a FA Cup team last year. an FA Cup final team, and now look at them. They will be one of the 3 teams relegated alongside Burnley and QPR, which means it's a pretty disappointing year. It's kind of odd. That's one of the things about the FA Cup. You've always got that team that is just a surprise team. You had Reading a cup one year. You had West Bromwich Albion. You've had Aston Villa. And you've had Hull City. It was interesting talking to Jake, and I'm like, Jake, all right, so who's going to be the upset team, Reading or Aston Villa? And Jake said neither, and I said, all right, Jake, we'll see how that goes. And
Thank
of course,
you for talking about Jake without ever even saying who he is.
Jake Liker. Everybody knows who the hashtag Like Show is.
That is good enough for me.
Good? We good there? All right. With 3 teams relegated, that means we have 3 teams coming up. First of all, we have Bournemouth. AFC Bournemouth. They are the American Football Conference of Bournemouth. Watford.
Yep.
And the team that recently made it after winning their, I guess, sort of playoff on Monday, Norwich City. Norwich City will be the last team.
Here's my question. Is Watford really energized because of all the Watts?
Oh my god. What a horrible joke. We apologize to everybody out there. Carl struggles with life. You know, this is what he does with his spare time. Makes bad jokes.
Yeah, and you do bad shows, so...
Ooh. Alright. Well, I mean, to be fair, no massive surprises went down this year in English soccer. A lot of straightforward occurrences, you know. Arsenal and Man U basically pretty close overall. I think Man U beating Manchester City may have been the biggest headline of this year because it kind of shows...
Southampton staying so high for so long. Like, halfway through the season, Southampton being second?
I guess. Yeah, sure. Especially after their exile, I guess you could say, where they sold basically everybody.
It's English football. Everybody sells everybody.
Everybody sells everybody to everybody. Eventually, you basically end up on the same team.
It's pretty true. Like, if you look at different teams...
And then, of course, you have Tottenham, who's essentially Real Madrid's feeder team.
Oh, yeah. Harry Kane will be there in, 2 years?
Unless he goes to Manchester United, which in that case, he'll go to Real Madrid right after and basically just be Ronaldo. Wait,
Basically.
If De Gea goes to Real Madrid, that means we're becoming Real Madrid's feeder team. No.
That's not what you want.
Uh-oh. Alright. I think that's basically all we've got to say. Just to break down who won the other leagues. First of all, in France, PSG, pretty straightforward there. Monaco really didn't have the same fight they had last year after loaning Falcao out to Manchester United and selling James Rodriguez to Real Madrid. In the Bundesliga, Bayern Munich blew everyone out. But that wasn't the biggest story. That would be Borussia Dortmund.
Freaking Dortmund.
Who barely made Europa League. Barely made Europa League.
Barely.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, another team who missed out, who normally makes it, Schalke. Schalke will also be playing in the Europa League. The teams that popped in for them, Wolfsburg and Borussia Mönchengladbach, will be representing Germany in the Champions League.
It's just a real trouble for all the announcers. Like, I really apologize to all the announcers who are going to have to...
Here we have Borussia Mönchengladbach.
Well, no, and the really big issue is that you start getting, like, angry at them. You're like, and then it just, you get some misunderstanding.
Goal, Borussia!
Yeah. It's just a pretty situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah. In Italy, Juventus ended up winning it, though it kind of got a lot closer than I think some people anticipated at some point.
Lost to Parma.
I mean, at the end of the day, Juventus took over and ended up 16 points ahead, but there were some points during the year where it looked pretty close, though the season is not technically over.
Pattern of my teams, like a bunch of my teams, Roma, Monaco, Arsenal, they're all like Champions League teams. None of them won.
Yeah. Tough times,
No.
tough times.
Story of my life.
Roma and Lazio will be joining Juventus as Champions League teams, just so you know, in France, because we only gave you the winner. We will also have Lyon, who finished in second, and AS Monaco, who finished in third. Now over to our last league, Spain, where, wouldn't you know, it was Barcelona and Real Madrid in the two-horse race. It ended up being Barcelona by 2 points, Real Madrid in second, Atletico Madrid in third, and Valencia finished in fourth, just barely beating out Sevilla. Interestingly enough, Sevilla had a shot to not only clinch a Champions League spot, but also to win a second straight Europa League, which would be a pretty great end to the season for them. Unfortunately, it looks like they're going to have to deal with Europa League again. We'll see how that goes.
I think at this point we know they're pretty good at Europa League.
They are successful in the League of Europa.
They're better than Tottenham is, so...
They are better than Tottenham. All right.
Of course, that's...
Now on to the news that is shocking the soccer world. After FIFA officials were arrested in Zurich over corruption charges and they will face U.S. extradition. This isn't the first time, I should say, that we've heard about referees being corrupt or about FIFA being corrupt in general. In fact, this is becoming a common occurrence. This is big because it comes just days before Friday's vote for FIFA President Sepp Blatter. And though he is widely expected to win and be reelected for his fifth term, it is still something to think about. The charges allege that there has been widespread corruption throughout football's governing body over the past 20 years, involving bids for World Cups as well as marketing and broadcast deals. So this is massive, especially because a guy like Blatter has been in charge of FIFA for all of those years. Carl, your thoughts on the impact on soccer as a whole and on Sepp Blatter's presidency or candidacy?
I think the biggest issue here is Sepp Blatter's never going to lose his presidency because the teams that, like, the places that are benefiting from this, all the different FIFA, like, a lot of teams benefit from this corruption, and those are all the people electing their president. And that's why we get this loop of corruption, because the FIFA, I mean, the different football associations really don't care about the well-being, and that's how we got, like, the Qatari situation, where there's just so much corruption, and then we get a World Cup in Qatar, because everybody thought playing soccer in 120 degrees in the desert is better than playing in America.
I love playing in 100-degree weather. It makes me feel dead.
Death is good.
It's a positive. Yeah, I agree. Look, they're trying to do their best to make it air-conditioned, but it's not only the 120-degree weather. You've had so many workers who've died, being denied their work visas, being denied an escape from what is essentially modern-day slave labor. There was one quote that really hit me was when they said, "This looks like it's going to be the most deadly Middle Eastern construction project since the Great Pyramids of Giza."
That's a long time.
I know, it's really nuts what's going on around there. Of course, that seems to have simmered down a bit after they were thrown into the forefront of everything and they were just getting absolutely blasted. But nonetheless, officials, voting, the fact that Sepp Blatter doesn't care, and the fact that they seem to continue on saying, this is all for the benefit of soccer, but I don't see a benefit. Sure, it's growing in popularity, but they're risking a endgame situation in which soccer could die before it even becomes as popular as it could be, because these are serious things. You could see the government getting completely broken down, and while soccer would continue, it's very hard to maintain balance in a system where balance is not emphasized.
Especially with, there's no salary nationally with the FIFA team, so that's a big...
And we haven't even scratched the debt that most of these teams face. I mean, you see Real Madrid and tons of others who are billions of dollars in debt. I mean, look at Real Madrid. They owe billions, and yet they're trying to renovate their stadium, which they cannot afford, and yet will do anyways, because we're FIFA, and we like fancy new things. It's unreal, and they're putting themselves in a situation which could match what happened to the North American Soccer League after they went out and bought Pelé and Beckenbauer and Di Stefano and tons of terrific players, and then just went bankrupt because they couldn't afford it. And we're approaching that point.